What is going on, guys? Welcome back to King Fab and Off-Road. Tonight I am going to be tearing into my Turbo R because I was out wheeling this past weekend at Flat Nasty. Decided to hit some hills and do some stuff with this thing, didn't like. Apparently I've blown out the front diff, best I can tell, unless it's the splines on the drive shaft, but I think it's the front end. Everything else is still working as long as it's not under load, so it's probably the pinion or something in the cage or something in the front. And then also broke a rear axle, which we're not going to get into that. You've seen me do that on the channel, but I am going to go over what it takes to pull the front end off of this. From what I understand, you have to take the front end off and then the upper control arms out, and there's some access panels in the kick panels, stuff like that. So it's not the easiest thing to do, but I'm pulling it apart just so I can get it out for warranty and stuff, and hopefully make a decision if I'm going to go Coffman or stay stock. It's a hard choice because those boogers are expensive. But anyways, I thought you guys might want to ride along with this. I didn't find anything online about doing this, so I'm going to do it for you. So anyways, stay with me here. We'll get it blown apart and see what's wrong with it. Okay, I'm pulling this apart in my personal garage. You might notice I'm not in the big shop. That's simply because this is going to be apart for a while. I don't know how long of a while, hopefully not too bad. But anyways, I'm going to start with taking the front tires off. I have my spare. I'm actually going to lift this up and then put all my spares under the belly of this thing, so that way it'll be kind of stilted up on its own jack stands. Just feel like that's the best way considering how the bellies are on these, because you can't put jack stands on if you're working on the front end. And I don't want the jack stands sliding off to the side. So that's how I'm going to tackle that. I'll get this all pulled apart, put you on a time lapse, and I'll explain to you what I run into as I go. I don't know if that's how everyone does it, but it worked out well for me. This thing has a lot of suspension travel, obviously, but 2 tires, 235 10s stacked up is just right, so things will stay off the ground. Now, I may need the jack on these as I work on it, but I'm also going to be doing a little bit of an addition here at the end of the video. I might show you on these shocks I got from Deviant Race Parts, so that'd be cool too. Anyways, I'm going to tear into this thing. Let's see what we got. Alright, you guys see it here, got the front off. Gonna start working on getting the axles out. A-arms loose, and then pulling it out this way. On the Turbo R, since we're doing a Turbo R, the upper control arms have to come out of the way because this eyelet is in the way of your through bolts for your diff. In order to get that out, you just take these upper bolts out. While I'm at it, I'm taking my shocks off to do some revisions on those and put some upgraded parts on and in them. And then, yeah. So nothing crazy had to be done. If you were doing just an axle on this, all you have to do is take the upper joint off and your tie rod, and then it'll actually flex out of the way enough, and your shock, I'm sorry, which is like most razors, I believe, and then your axle will come right out, and you don't have to take these out. So there's a little tidbit for you. I've got both sides apart now. I got about an hour and a half in this. I had to go get some more tools actually from the shop. But I've got the main bolts out of this. I'm going to take these braces, the main braces for the diff out, and then hopefully this thing slides out. As you know, you probably can't see it very well, but you have to take the roll pin out of your drive shaft, which I already did. Not real easy on this. That was probably the worst part of this so far. But anyways, and that way your drive shaft will be loose, and then from what I'm told, this thing will come right out of the front. So hopefully so. I'm gonna get these braces out of the way, and then I'll put on a time lapse trying to get this thing out, and we'll see how hard it is to get out together. Sorry for the horrible lighting, but anyways, as you can see on the time lapse, I stuck you on there and thought this would take a while to weasel out of there, but there's two little support brackets that bolt up nicely to this that can be loosened. Once you do that, this thing drops. You just have to, you know, wiggle it off of the drive shaft as you saw, and then this thing comes right out. This is a weird, I don't know how these normally fail on the older ones, but this thing feels great. But when I would go to put any pressure on it, it would crackle and pop and pretty much go to the wayside. My drive shaft is connected, my splines are good, it drives, it goes in and out of four-wheel drive fine. Obviously without this locked in, it isn't going to turn these hubs, which you can't see very well, but they're not turning because of that. But I'm going to drain the fluid out of this, and then we're going to see what it looks like in here real quick. Okay, here it is all taken apart. I forgot to set up the camera because I was too excited. I do apologize. From what I understand, most of the time these cages right here fail. Oh, sorry. These cages right here fail, and when they do, I think these crack internally. Well, oddly enough, I don't know if this is rare or not, or weird, but the actual case, the carrier itself cracked right here. Hopefully you can see that decent. From top all the way to bottom, and it literally swelled this out. So even when you have these in there, they just flop around. That's with the bearings. So otherwise, like the ring and pinion, this is it flipped over. It all looks good. There's nothing weird. There's kind of there's like a slight catch over here in my pinion. Right there, it gets hard. I don't know if that's normal or not, but beside the point, the seal's good. Everything was good. Not any huge chunks, but there's definitely some shavings and stuff there. Things were getting unhappy, but I literally did this on one hill and heard it pop. Went to try another hill, and it definitely was popping. So that's when we stopped, and here we are. So hopefully get this off the warranty and see if they will take care of it, and then go from there. And I will update you guys whenever that happens. Alright, we're in the shop. I'm putting the front end back in the Razor. I got a Coffman Hill Killer, as you've seen, and we started putting it in, me and Matt. I got these all apart, pretty self-explanatory, but we're going to be taking these off and changing them. So hopefully they'll come off decent. I'm going to put you on a time lapse so you can see us doing that. Alright, you saw that all happen. We're going to do it ×2, and then I'm going to show you some install on getting these put back in, as well as the diff and everything else. As you all can see, I have got the diff put back in. I thought I had my camera on earlier, but I did not. It slid in there like a glove, which it should. It's just a stock case. But right in here, you can see the roll pin. Sorry, camera's bad. You got to put your drive shaft back on and put your roll pin through. Next, I'm going to put the axles in, lay them here, and then you got to put your shocks in and put them over it. Because this is a Turbo R, the forks actually go over. I'm going to run out here to the Tacoma and get the coilovers out. As you guys saw me do earlier, thanks to Deviant Race Parts for supplying me with these. Zach, huge shout out to you, man. Appreciate it. Guy that owns Goldie actually hooked me up with these, and so we are going to be trying them out. Apparently these are kind of a failure. They look okay and they feel decent, but apparently some billet ones are the way to go. So hopefully these dudes hold up a long time, and it was worth taking them off and doing that. I'm gonna get these out of here and then go stick them on the Razor and get the front end all tidied back up. Okay, I'm doing some of this in real time because I want to show the pain it can be to put these axles back in. with the shock. Now, bear with me, I might speed it up in some spots, I'm not sure. But when you put these in, actually, on a better note, I think I'm just going to explain to you what I'm talking about. When you put this in the diff, like so, that is all the way in. You only have so much room to put this into the hub. This is drooped out just about as far as you can go. It's barely resting on the ground, which is a long ways. And you can barely get this in there. Now there's other ways you could take it all the way off the spindle. It could come all the way off or whatever, but here I just take it like so. I apologize because I'm trying to do GoPro and everything else. See if you can see that. And now you take this guy, spin it off to the side, and then good to go. Which of course entails pulling it up, doing all that jazz, and it not separating all the way. But that is it, put all the way in case you guys need to do it. Now the second part of this that I want to show you, I won't do it in real time really either, is you have to shove the shock up through your upper control arm, and then it has to go over this and back on. So that's kind of the kicker to the Turbo R. It changes that a little bit, but ain't no big deal. It all goes together pretty decently. So there's the explanation on that. Got both sides put together, went together pretty nicely, got everything all tightened up, everything's happy. Just put the front bumper on, or tie bar, however you want to call it. I don't know what they call it on the front of these. And then I got my front fascia stuff I got to put on. What are you doing, Tacoma? You on candy camera? Yeah, anyways, get the plastics put on. You know, it protects a lot up here, pretty much indestructible. So, we've got our new Deviant Race Parts lower shock, I guess we'll call them arches, mounts, however you want to call it. They look super sweet, definitely some billet goodness there. We got our Hill Killer diff put in from Coffman. Shout out to Dennis on that. He works with all things UTV, and he helped me out with all my questions and stuff, so thanks again for that, man. But yeah, it's all put back together, put the front together. I'm going to jack it up, get tires on it, and then we've got to do a tranny service and a rear axle as well. We'll go over that just briefly, and that will wrap up putting this thing back together. I can't do this.
I'm not even...
Alright, so my wife's out here pestering me, making me laugh. I didn't go over it because I already did a video on a rear axle, but I bought some East Lake axles to put in the rear of this thing. So got one of those put on the left side. We're still running the factory on the right, and then front diff's done. Everything else is done. I'm going to let it down, then do a little recap and close this video up on the diff and rear axle install. All fours back on the ground, and all four are turning. I want to give a huge shout out and thanks to Deviant Race Parts for the lower shock mounts for my front shocks. Super rad there. Next thing would be thanks a lot for Dennis from All Things hooking me up with the Hill Killer front diff. We're going to put that thing to the test. And Coffman, hope you guys are ready to hear some reviews and feedback on it, because I'm going to use the heck out of it. Otherwise, thanks Matt for helping. work on this a little bit earlier with me, doing some shock stuff, and otherwise it's ready to go. So kind of a silly, boring install, but shows how to take the front end apart, put a little bit of it back together. It's all self-explanatory, but for you guys that are wondering and wanting to do it, at least you know what it takes and what's in your way. That was kind of my intentions with this video. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one.